What's up, fantasy managers? Welcome back to another episode of the First Pitch Podcast brought to you by PitcherList.com. My name is Jake Crumpler, and I'll be your host for this edition of the pod. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler, and you can find all of my work at CrumplerBaseball.com. Let's dive into everything baseball related from Monday, June 2nd. We'll start off, as always, with the transactions, injuries, news, and notes from around the league, kicking things off with the bad news, as always. Third baseman Yoan Moncada was placed on the 10-day IL with knee inflammation. Luis Rengifo is expected to take over every day at third base for Moncada on the Angels, while Scott Kingery gets consistent playing time at second base, filling in for Rengifo. In a corresponding move, outfielder Matthew Lugo was recalled from the minors. Lugo is the Angels' number 13 prospect, according to MLB Pipeline, and he'll fill in as the Angels' fourth outfielder moving forward. The Angels also placed relief pitcher Robert Stevenson on the 15-day IL with biceps inflammation. Very unfortunate. He just returned from elbow surgery, only made, I think, 2 appearances before landing back on the IL. So hopefully this is quick and minor for Robert Stevenson, because he looked really dope in his first outing back. Sam Aldeguerri was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move, and he's expected to be the Angels swingman pitching out of the bullpen. Our next IL placement involves third baseman Miguel Andujar, who was placed on the 10-day IL with an oblique strain. He will miss probably a few weeks, as oblique strains are usually pretty tricky. In the meantime, CJ Alexander and Max Schumann are expected to platoon at the hot corner for the A's to fill in for Andujar. In a corresponding move, outfielder JJ Bleday was recalled from the minors, and he's expected to compete with Drew Avans for playing time in left field for the A's. The A's also placed starting pitcher Gunnar Hoglund on the 15-day IL with a hip impingement. Pretty solid rookie season so far for Hoglund, so unfortunate to see him land on the IL. I think the recently recalled Osvaldo Bido is likely to take over in the rotation for Hoglund, but in a corresponding move, relief pitcher Elvis Alvarado was recalled from the minors. He's obviously, as a relief pitcher, going to pitch out of the bullpen. All right, now we can move over to our transactions, starting with outfielder Parker Meadows, who was activated from the 60-day IL. He's missed the entire season with an upper arm nerve issue, but he returned to being the Tigers' everyday center fielder and leadoff hitter, so that's pretty dope. I think that means Parker Meadows needs to be rostered in all 5 outfielder leagues. In a corresponding move, outfielder Justin Henry Malloy was optioned to the minors, so I think he should be back at some point. There's something about Malloy that, to me, reads as somebody who's better than he has been and should be treated as such by the Tigers, but they really haven't been giving him any playing time. So I think Malloy will be back up at some point, but for now we got Meadows playing every day, center field, and leading off for the Tigers. Next, we have outfielder Colton Cowser, who was activated from the 60-day IL as well. He's been out for a while with a fractured thumb, but he's expected to return to being the Orioles' everyday left fielder. I don't know if he needs to be rostered everywhere, definitely most 5 outfielder leagues, but he does strike out a lot, so maybe not all points leagues. In a corresponding move, outfielder Cooper Hummel was designated for assignment. We also saw starting pitcher Paul Blackburn be activated from the 15-day IL to start in LA against the Dodgers, and he did not disappoint, tossing 5 shutout innings, allowing 3 hits and 2 walks while striking out 3. He induced 8 whiffs with 26% CSW across 77 pitches. I don't know if I mentioned no earned runs. I did. I said 5 shutout innings. Nice. But Paul Blackburn back for the Mets and taking down the Dodgers. Yeah, love to see it. And now we'll talk about our news, as closing pitcher Luke Weaver is expected to be placed on the 15-day IL with a hamstring strain. Relief pitcher Fernando Cruz is expected to be activated from the 15-day IL in a corresponding move, and he's expected to compete with Devin Williams for the closer role in Luke Weaver's absence. Cruz has been out with shoulder inflammation, but Williams has really struggled this year, so I think Cruz probably has the leg up, but Williams more experienced in the closer role, so we'll see. It's definitely something Rick and I will talk about on In the Pen on Thursday night. Maybe Mark Leiter Jr. even factors into this role. And our last bit of news, starting pitcher Chase Dollander is expected to be activated from the 15-day IL today to start in Miami. He is returning from forearm tightness. I wouldn't really test this one out, but Dollander could make this work against a lowly Marlins lineup. And now we'll take a look at our notable performances from Monday, a day in which we had just 7 games on our slate. We'll start it off with our hitters, leading off with outfielder Kerry Carpenter, who helped the Tigers to a win on the south side of Chicago, going 3 for 5 with 3 runs, 3 homers, and 5 runs batted in. He's up to 13 homers on the year now, and the first one traveled 401 feet at 107 miles per hour. Second one, 357 at 100 miles per hour, and the third one, 398 feet at 107 miles per hour. And I gotta say, I called this one. Carpenter was one of just 2 hitters that I suggested targeting in yesterday's episode based on his past success against Jonathan Cannon, despite it being in just 7 at-bats. And boy, he came through, completely backed me up with the hat trick. Super dope. Thank you, Kerry, making me look like a genius. But Carpenter isn't really your prototypical lefty slugger, as his hyper aggressive approach allows him to avoid strikeouts, but it does lead to fewer walks. However, it doesn't take away from his ability to impact the ball, as evidenced by Carpenter's 13% barrel rate and career high 47% hard hit rate. Carpenter's numbers are somewhat propped up by never getting to face left-handed hitters, and maybe that's for the best, as he has a career 80-point difference in WRC plus, depending on the handedness of his opponent. Carpenter is really dope, though, on the season, batting .276 with an .822 OPS, and I think he needs to be rostered everywhere. Next, we have catcher Hunter Goodman, who helped the Rockies to win in Miami, going 3 for 5 with 3 runs, a pair of homers, and 3 runs batted in. He's up to 9 homers now. His first one traveled 401 feet at 110 miles per hour, and the second one went 418 feet at 107 miles per hour. And I talked Goodman up a bit in the spring because I saw an opportunity for him to play all over the field with catcher eligibility, also while calling Coors Field home. But Goodman has exceeded even my somewhat inflated expectations, as he's taken over as Colorado's everyday catcher and their number 3 hitter while taking huge strides at the plate. He hasn't even been taking full advantage of Coors either, performing better on the road. I think he's got 7 of his 9 homers on the season now on the road. So it feels like Goodman could get even better as the season wears on and he starts performing even better at Coors. And I think he's somebody who needs to be rostered in the majority of leagues because of his catcher eligibility. And lastly, we've got outfielder Jo Adell, who helped the Angels to win in Boston, going 2 for 4 with 2 runs, 2 homers, and 2 runs batted in. He's up to 9 homers on the year now. The first one traveled 404 feet at 104 miles per hour. The second one went 394 feet at 104 miles per hour. And man, I want to believe so badly in Jo Adell. I've always been an Adell fan, despite his lack of success. Strikeouts have always been the thing to hold him back, but he's got his strikeout rate down to 25% this year. He just can't seem to catch a break, sporting a .240 BABIP for the second straight year. StatCast suggests Summer Explosion is in line for Adell, though, as he's still sporting a solid 12% barrel rate and improving in his expected metrics. And I think I'd be buying low on Adell in 15-team leagues, especially if you need 5 outfielders. I just hope he starts stealing soon. Just 1 steal on the season after stealing, I think, 15 last year. But if you'd like a breakdown of other notable hitting performances from Monday, check out the Daily Batters Box article over on pitcherlist.com. Now we'll head to the mound and check out some notable starting pitching performances, opening with Stephen Kolek, who helped the Padres to win in San Francisco, tossing 5 2/3 shutout innings, allowing 3 hits and 2 walks while striking out 3, inducing 6 whiffs with 29% CSW across 98 pitches. And our backup streamer nearly came away with a quality start, but I'll take this all day. Got away with a lot of poorly located sinkers to right-handed batters, but ultimately Kolek did a good job crisscrossing them with cutters and sliders to keep the Giants righties off balance. The back door was wide open against left-handed batters, as Kolek snuck in plenty of cutters and 4-seamers on the edges while hunting for whiffs with sliders and changeups low in the zone. That strategy didn't necessarily work, but Koufax was on his side and helped Kolek come through. Kolek is just a desperate streamer, though, and I wouldn't go trusting him at Milwaukee next. Next, we have Aaron Savale, who helped the Brewers to win in Cincinnati, tossing 5 1/3 innings, allowing 7 hits and 2 earned runs, while walking 1 and striking out 5. He induced 12 whiffs with 34% CSW across 86 pitches, and the whip hurts a little bit, but we'll take the ERA, a strikeout per inning, and the win. And we'll take this all day from Savale. Savale nibbled against right-handed batters, but his curveball was lethal against lefties, inducing 4 whiffs with 50% CSW, while his four-seamer was a savior, making up for his lack of sinker command in this one, landing for 80% strikes and 50% CSW. The cutter did its usual thing, landing upstairs for a trio of whiffs and 25% CSW, and this is a pretty typical Civale performance, and he's not really a pitcher that we're looking to start versus the Padres next. And lastly, we've got Brady Singer on the opposite side of Civale. He did all he could, but the Reds lost to the Brewers. Singer tossed 5 innings, allowing 4 hits and 3 earned runs while walking 3 and striking out 4. He induced 13 whiffs with 33% CSW across 97 pitches, and it's been a tough first year in Cincy for Singer as he's sporting a 4.66 ERA and a 1.34 whip. Early on, he expanded his arsenal and got potential fantasy managers excited, but that's all but disappeared now. Here, he threw 87% sinkers and sliders to pretty mediocre effect. The slider induced 5 whiffs and 29% CSW, but it was put in play constantly, and that was the pitch Christian Yelich took deep in the third. Meanwhile, the sinker induced 5 whiffs as well with 36% CSW as it avoided the middle of the plate for the most part. But Singer stuff isn't good enough for him to get through a lineup twice with just 2 pitches, and I'd only be considering him against the weakest of offenses, and that's not the Arizona Diamondbacks up next. But if you'd like a breakdown of every single start from Monday, give the Plus Pitch podcast a listen and check out Nick's daily SP roundup over on pitcherlist.com. And now we'll head to the bullpen and check out the relievers that got saves and the closers that pitched outside of save situations or blew their saves. Starting with the former, Jose Budo recorded his first save as he got the final 2 outs of the 10th inning. Edwin Diaz pitched in this one as he allowed a run in the 9th to blow his first save, but he did come away with his 3rd win when the Mets won it in the 10th. Kenley Jansen recorded his 12th save with a perfect 9th. Zach Agnos is up to 4 saves after he pitched a scoreless 9th. And lastly, Trevor McGill is also up to 12 saves after his perfect 9th. In terms of closers to pitch outside of save situations or blow their saves, Tanner Scott allowed 2 runs to score in the 10th to take his 2nd loss of the season. And Robert Suarez pitched a scoreless 9th and 10th to earn his 1st win of the season. But if you'd like a breakdown of more relief pitchers, check out Rick Graham's weekly articles over on pitcherlist.com. And before we look forward to today's games, we're going to take a quick break. Now we'll look forward to Tuesday, June 3rd, a day in which we'll have a full slate of 15 games. My matchup of the day is Hunter Green versus Freddie Peralta. We've got 2 guys with incredible stuff. It should be a blast to watch. Green with his 100 mile per hour fastball and Peralta with his plethora of breakers. In terms of probable starters, we've got 8 guys in the auto starts tier, including both Green and Peralta. We've also got Zach Wheeler in Toronto, Paul Skeens versus the Astros, and Carlos Rodon versus the Guardians. Our probably starts tier is 6 guys, and that's where we'll find our streamer of the day in Lance McCullers Jr. in Pittsburgh. He's been really solid this year. The ceiling is super high, and the Pirates lineup is not scary, so I'd be streaming McCullers everywhere. I'd also keep an eye out for Cade Horton in Washington against the Nationals. I think this is a solid streamer. Horton has proven thus far that he can get through pretty mediocre lineups, and that is the Nationals lineup, and Horton's pretty solid. Get pretty good win chance here as well with the Cubs offense backing him. In terms of hitter suggestions, I look at Angels and Red Sox hitters in Fenway. Great ballpark, but we will also see Yusei Kikuchi take on Brian Bayo, both of whom have ERAs under 4, but I sort of expect them to take a step back moving forward in the season. So maybe this is just the start of it here in this one, and we can capitalize by targeting the hitters opposing them. I'd also look at Rockies and Marlins hitters, but this game is in Miami. The pitching matchup isn't great. Chase Dollander coming off the IL, taking on Sandy Alcantara and his 8.47 ERA. I hate to stream against Sandy. He's a great pitcher, but he's really not doing well this year. So I think we could see an offensive explosion from these lowly lineups in Miami. And I will close things out with our relievers to watch. Edwin Diaz has pitched on back-to-back days and in 3 of the past 4. So I'd expect Reed Garrett to get a save op for the Mets on Tuesday. Trevor McGill has pitched on back-to-back days, but so has Abner Uribe. So maybe we see Nick Mears get a save opportunity. Zach Agnos has pitched on back-to-back days. So Seth Halverson is probably the Rockies closer on Tuesday. And lastly, Robert Suarez has pitched on back-to-back days and in 3 of the past 4. So expect Jeremiah Estrada to fill in on Tuesday. But that'll do it for today's episode of the First Pitch Podcast. Make sure to head on over to pitcherlist.com to check out all of the great articles and features we have on the site. Sign up for PL Plus or PL Pro to gain access to the Discord and to support the Pitcher List staff. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler. Tune in live on YouTube tomorrow and every day for a new installment of the podcast. And make sure to enjoy the day as we are blessed with another day of baseball.